Well, darling, there's only one God. Darling, there's only.
All right. Welcome to the Dirty Bag Podcast. I'm your host, Cookie, and I got a season one vet today. I got my girl, Denetria. First off, how you doing, sis?
I'm making it. I'm making it.
My good sis is giving life again. So last time we was just dealing with these kids, we was talking about being moms, but now you joining in a different era of motherhood. So now you really in my club. From our last
Yes,
conversation, you've been reflecting on being intentional. So we go
absolutely.
we're gonna get into that because we realized life is but a perm box. This is my mantra for everything now. Life ain't nothing but a perm box. It looks a certain
Everything
way.
ain't always yes.
It looks a certain way, but that ain't what it is. So stop trying to follow behind what everybody else is doing and do what's right for you. Because you might try to do what everybody else is doing, not get the same results and realize they wasn't even doing what they thought they was doing. So with that being said, with you being a mother this time around, you have two beautiful daughters already. What are your thoughts on approaching parenting differently? And we spoke about this before from your own personal experiences, and how are you using that to fuel how you how you move this time around?
Um, being more aware, being more educated. I remember when I was listening to one of your podcasts, talking about a doula. I had two kids. I had never heard about a doula. It wasn't until I listened to your podcast that I was like really informed. I think you had two parts, and I listened to both of them about a doula, and I was like, hold up, I felt robbed. I felt completely robbed because of the information that I did not have.
Yeah,
Um, my mother had a C-section. I didn't have like this. I didn't know it was like support, like, and I focused more this time around not on the baby shower, not on about the ego of having a baby, but more so spiritually and mentally preparing myself and resting.
yeah,
This time around, instead of focusing on like the photo shoot and all of that, and
right.
I went through postpartum with both my girls. I'm choosing to invest more so in my mind, body, and soul. Like I'm exercising, I'm doing yoga, and I ended up having two C-sections. Now I'm trying to have a natural birth that I didn't even think was possible until I started educating myself. Okay.
Okay, so the being intentional, and I like that you bring that up because so many people put so much into the baby shower and the photo shoots, which I did this time around
Mhm.
because I didn't get to enjoy that with my son. I was only 19, but
Right.
I was on that doula stuff. I was consulting with not one but two different doulas my whole pregnancy. But the funny thing about that episode, and this is gonna tie into some real shit, I got so depressed after both of those because I didn't realize I was still in my postpartum period. And it brought up so much triggering shit for me. Like the fact that I didn't have the
Mhm.
support that I kind of needed and that I was a strong Black woman. And we talked about this, my way through some stuff when I really should have just said, I need somebody to come in right now. Like sometimes I suffered in silence and listening to these women. And this is going to bring up some important too that had husbands that were
Mhm.
partners that were around the whole time, not just who they was dating or whatever. They went through it. So even as married women, they struggled and went through
Yes,
postpartum and felt alone. I was like, we got to have this conversation. So
I
mothers,
did that too.
y'all
Yes.
think that things are perfect because of a certain thing, but it's all about intentionality and what type of intentional support you have around you. Don't make the assumption that everything is all peaches and cream with somebody because of what it looks like on the outside, right?
Right.
If y'all felt like this with your mother-in-law and husbands and all of this, one girl said they ended up
Still can feel
divorced.
alone. You still
Yeah.
feel alone. I did. I went through the same thing too.
Yeah, but we don't talk enough about it because we like to put on. And I talk about that all the time about putting on appearances and looking good for people or social media and trying to save face when you're struggling.
Absolutely.
And that's just kind of, yeah. So the fact that you checking into doulas, because I recommend that for everybody, everybody, doulas are lifesavers.
It's so worth it. And I got a midwife too. Um,
Come on now.
I'm messing with Jemima Village. She on social media,
I know who that is.
yes, and I didn't really, I thought it was a lot of hype behind it. I'm like, because you see everybody on social media looks good. You like, okay, let's see. But when I tell you the experiences that I'm having there is so amazing. The energy, the love, it's amazing. I'm really blown away at her services.
And you know what? I think the reason I was able to even have a natural birth is because I had a doula. So that's somebody that coaches you through it. So the fact that you are more than likely going to experience that because you
Yes.
can,
Uh-huh.
that's going to be dope. But so you got the doula down. So we got that.
Right.
But even me and you had talked about kind of like being intentional and setting boundaries and stuff when you're trying to take care of yourself. Because remember, the first thing I did when I called you, I was like, I am sorry, girl, I've been trash. And you immediately hit me back like,
No,
nah, nah, we grown.
exactly.
And you was literally letting me know, like, nah, when we in different phases and stuff, sometimes people are just busy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And kind of what's unrealistic
Mm-hmm.
when friends are going through life transitions and what you can and can't expect from people. And when you said, well, I mean, I'm gonna let you break it down in your own words, but I was like, you know what? I feel like that's something I was trying to communicate. You're right.
Yeah, because you made a post about that. Like, people expect you to check on them, and that's just not realistic. And that had me thinking, like, you know what? You don't know what people going through. You don't know, like, depression is real. And Black women do go through depression. Don't get me wrong. I've been even depressed um with this pregnancy. I had to, admit it, face it, different things like that. You just never know what people going through.
And that's real.
And should nobody have to carry, like, I just feel like we'll connect when we supposed to. That's all.
And
That's it.
but that's honest though.
Yeah, that's honest.
But I think it's not to take it personal. I think that when you dealing with your stuff, and I'm sitting here watching, like, okay, that skin glowing, that's popping. You out here traveling. Okay, girl, you living. I
Yes.
ain't getting the trouble right now, so I'm gonna let you do, but it
Girl,
was
we
just,
go through seasons. I'm gonna go through a season where I ain't gonna be traveling either. But I went through a season where it was flowing. It was right. Mm-hmm.
yes. And you was unapologetic about it. And like, I'm going to enjoy, you
Absolutely.
take seasons of joy and just be okay being selfish. And we talked about that S word
Yes.
and why it's important and how it's okay to be in your selfish season.
People call it selfish. I call it self-care. Like, if nobody knows how to take care of you better than you.
That's
Even
real.
when you're in a relationship. And I'm in a relationship and I still value my self-care. I still like time to myself. I still like to go out to eat by myself. A lot of people probably be like, what, girl? What? It's me. That's what I like to do. I make sure that I still and we both selfish and we honor that from each other. I get it.
Yeah.
It ain't about, we still two individuals. And that's what people fail to realize. Everybody want to come into this we one. But I'm Denetria. We got two different minds. We still think differently. And it's still about honoring yourself at the end of the day, too.
Yeah. And we talked about that even with our kids.
Absolutely.
And keeping
Yes. Because you can get lost with them too, honey. Yes, you can get
these
lost with your kids.
kids.
Mm-hmm.
These kids and still taking care of yourself and treating yourself because you know how it's told is you got to take care of them kids first. Worry about them kids. You here for your kids. It's about your kids. And we neglect ourselves and wonder why we're not the best parents we can be.
Yeah. We haven't been taught to treat ourselves as a priority.
Especially when we become parents.
Yes.
And that's crazy. There was a post recently and it went viral. Somebody basically, I think they were like 89 And their kid asked them what their biggest regret in life was. And there's a lot of controversy behind it. And I guess that person admitted that they never wanted to have kids. They told this to their adult child. Now,
Wow.
yeah, it was, and it was like 50-50. Some folks were like, you never say, even if they're adult, you never say that to your kids. Then the other side was like, 89-year-old don't give a shit. They damn near at the end of their life, so they being honest about stuff.
Yeah,
so,
be honest.
So I felt like, okay, that's a jacked up thing to say to your kids. But it also sounds like signs of somebody who never lived their lives.
Yep, absolutely. Never lived a life.
And they might have harbored some bitterness towards
and they feel like I was talking to a coworker about that. Feel like they was robbed, like I raised you, and they probably feel like if they would have had kids, they would have had a different type of life. But me terms, I want kids. So I think in terms of balance, of setting time aside for myself and my kids. I think they both matter.
But
I make sure I let my kids know, like, hey, I need some time myself. No, I don't want you in the bathroom with me right now. Yeah, you're gonna cry. But right now I need to be by myself. And I need to teach you how to prioritize yourself. And the best way I could do that is to be an example and to show you, like, hey, my mama did both. She raised me and she made sure she took care of herself. A lot of mothers don't do that. They sacrifice themselves to take care of their kids and not realizing that's been the program of motherhood. And that's no. I still think about myself.
Right.
Because I don't want to be 89 with that regret that lady had.
Right. And I think also there's a stigma when mothers do prioritize themselves, they get shamed for it. Because you'll see comments all the time, like, why y'all outside? Or
you
why
don't
you
ever
just
have your kids and you you look like you stay in the streets and people don't be judging. You have no idea.
It's no idea. First of all, you can't police what self-care looks like to a mother.
Absolutely.
Number one, you don't have a 24-hour access to how somebody lives their lives. You seeing snippets. You seeing what people choose to share. So if folks posted their kids all the time, you'd be like, dang, all you do is post your kids. And most people feel like when you post your kids all the time, which some mothers do, they overcompensate for not having a life. Sure do. Just hide behind their kids. I see it.
Yep, living through. I see it all the time. Like she won't have not one picture of themselves up there. And I got somebody in my family like that, and I see it all the time. I said she living through her daughter.
Because she has nothing going for her.
Nothing. And I said, well, when she get grown, what's she gonna do?
Right. That's real. People will hide behind their kids, and it's overcompensation for letting their kids just like take everything away from them. So I'm like, you can be a good mother. You can be there for your kids, but kids wear you out. This whole general parenting era we in, and to me, I'm a balanced mom. Sometimes I can talk. Sometimes I gotta get tough. Ain't no one size fits all method for me.
I know.
Mamas and this
talk about that gentle parent.
Shut the hell up.
Okay, I'm like that works for some kids, but honey, I'm a real mama. I keep it real with my kids. I teach real life over here.
I teach real life, and it goes how it comes. My son was very meek, very mild. He didn't talk much. My daughter, she a thug. She is a no limit soldier, and she will try me. Not saying I'm harsh with her, but I can't parent her the same way I parent him. And the thing is, a lot of this advice comes from folks whose kids are like 2 days old. Baby, you ain't been in the trenches long enough.
Come on now.
You're giving nobody parenting advice. So it either comes from those people or folks that ain't got no kids. And I'm like, you ain't been through it yet as a parent. I'm not saying that gentle parenting can't be a thing, but let's just take the labels off. Let's just parent our kids. Try to do the best. Learn from our mistakes and understand that we're dealing with unique individuals. Because you ain't gonna tell me how to parent.
Come on now.
I'm not abusing my child, but she ain't gonna play with me either.
Exactly.
You let your kids play with you. There's a way to go about everything, but
And quit giving out unsolicited advice. Did I ask you?
pretty please.
Did I ask you? Did I come to you and say I need your advice? I need your help in raising my child. No.
But you know what's so funny? Here's the thing, talking about telling people how to raise their child. Sometimes people do what they do based off the resources they have available, how they're stretched thin, their lifestyle, their economic conditions. So I hear that, but I'm like, if you had a mama that's working 2 jobs to make ends meet, nobody's helping her. She's figuring it out all by herself, and these kids are clowning. She's not going to act the same way of somebody that doesn't have to work.
Right.
Got a nanny or the kids at daycare. She ain't got to worry about paying for daycare. She can go out and do all the self-care spas and brunches she wants. People parent also based on their conditions. Don't nobody want to talk about that. But if you're gonna judge how somebody parents their kids, bet let me know when you're ready to step in and take these kids for a night while that person can step out, step back, and get a breather. But most folks ain't on that. Most folks ain't on that. So it's like, okay, y'all ain't really trying to help.
You what you should do, but they ain't even finna help you.
You ain't about this for real. Somebody made a comment. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and he was like, and it was for a different topic, but it's all relevant. He said, there are 2 types of people. There are people that'll tell you, let me know if you need anything. And then there are folks that'll tell you, here's the 4 or 5 things I'm going to do to help you. He was like, most people don't really want to help. They want to have a foot in the door to keep up with what's going on with you in case you do X, Y, Z, and they can reap benefit or say they connected to you. But people that want to help you will help. So instead of all these gentle parenting speeches, how about this? When you see somebody parenting in a style that you don't approve of, since you're so smart and you got it all figured out, why don't you explore and see what's going on to cause them to react to their kids that way and see how you can step in and support if you about what you say you about. Most fine buzzwords.
Mind your business.
Minding your business is always an option. It's always on sale. It's BOGO.
Come on now.
It's BOGO.
I be like, I'm raising mine over here, and that's enough. Like to try to tell somebody else. And I watch other people like, do I need to take a note? Because I know I ain't in this season. But I'm like, you showing me some things. Do I need to prepare? I ain't there yet. I ain't judging you. I ain't there yet. Let me take a note.
And you a huge advocate of running your own race and like not doing what everybody else. Because this gentle parenting, I'm like, y'all started talking about that like in the last 2 years. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest. Y'all stop. And we were the main ones making fun of white folks. We were the main ones making fun of white folks saying that their kids out of control. Now all of a sudden y'all jumped on this wave. But tell me your support system first. Tell me what your village looks like. Because there are some single mothers, and there's some married single mothers, and we talked about this.
Come on now.
I was talking to somebody a while back. Somebody hit me up about a collab, and I saw that his stuff was based off of like, and I told you about this, about like talking to fatherless women. And I'm like, okay, open the conversation. Because y'all blaming women for stuff, but people that had 2-parent homes came up with different experiences as well.
Come on now. I'm an example. I'm an example of that. Come on now.
And you talked about growing up with both of your parents and what that was.
Yes. And most people, and I didn't have people be like, you got a mom and daddy, what you complaining for? As if I did not go through in my household. I had no voice to be able to, because people expect that I come from go. Like, oh, you go. Like, you got a mama and a daddy. Your parents got a house built from the ground up. And I'm over here like, y'all don't know the real. You don't know the truth. Like how controlling my parents was, how they was emotionally unavailable for me. How I did not have a voice as a child. I could not communicate exactly how I was feeling. I was told how to feel, what to do. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have a voice as a child. So I struggled with my voice even as an adult. And I'm just now talking and realizing. And sometimes I overshare. Like I seen this TikTok look like, because you didn't have a voice as a child. I'm like, that's me. So sometimes I can tend to overshare and overindulge, and people see I'm extra when I wasn't even heard as a child. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't even have an attitude. You what?
You playing catch up.
Yeah.
But people don't expect that because of the myth that people that come from single parent homes or whatever.
Man, I wish I came from it. I'm over here wishing I came from a single parent household because I'm like, man, y'all have voices, y'all was heard, y'all was seen. Whereas my father was very controlling. Like I didn't have no voice.
What do you think that do you think that your parents' dynamic and relationship with each other contributed to how they treated you or tried to control your voice? Like, do you think that there's a connection between the two?
Well, I know that their relationship was toxic, very toxic. My father wasn't physically abusive, but he was verbally abusive to my mother.
That's dangerous.
And I hated him for years because I hated how he used to talk to my mom, and I couldn't do nothing, to protect her. Or, my dad he would yell, and I didn't know I was struggling. I remember when I moved back with my parents, and when my father called my name, my heart was like trembling. And I'm like, what the hell? And I went to therapy because in that moment I knew, I'm like, why am I so still triggered when my father called my name? And that was anxiety. That was PTSD.
Ooh, we talked about that.
That stemmed from my father. I'm like, this ain't normal. I'm like, why? I'm in my 30s. You call my name and I'm trembling because I don't know if I did something. I don't know if what I do. And it's the little girl inside of me screaming like, and I'm like, okay. And then I have to check myself, like, why am I feeling like this? And I had to go to therapy. But healing is a process. So I had to, went through the healing of, trying to forgive my father. But I also went through a season where I was like, fuck him.
And it's all okay.
It's all okay.
And that's so crazy. You have that story, but other women get shamed and talked about saying they have daddy issues. Daddy issues is not a single parent household thing. It's a whoever thing relative to the person, to the daddy.
Absolutely. And what's so crazy is I remember being a daddy's girl, and I see how my dad treated my girls. Like, I was a daddy girl since I was 4 until I started having my own mind. Then when I wasn't able to be controlled, when I tried to voice my opinion, it was almost like, you are knowing now. You're not a daddy's girl. I just remember being rejected. So I know the root cause of my rejection, and it's from my father.
They're not ready for that. They're not ready for that part. There's more than one way of rejection. Rejection comes in all forms.
All forms.
And you had it in your face.
Get into their root of where it first stemmed from was deep, because sometimes I felt rejected even in my marriage. I felt rejected by other people, but get into the root cause of my rejection is when I could really start to heal from that. That was so important.
See, and that's why, especially with mothers, we got to be so careful, especially with our daughters.
Yes.
Because we, men can be strong. I mean, our strength is different, but we get blamed for our strength. But so much of it, like us being accepted, even down to our looks and all of that, it comes from what we're told at home. Those are our first examples, from our emotional health to our physical. So we got on that. We didn't even get on how.
But my parents never told me I was beautiful, so I struggled with that, and I didn't realize until after I had a daughter. Oh, Mama, you never told me. Her mother never told her. So I make it a point to tell my daughter. So it's part of like I'm breaking generational curses. I'm like, I'm seeing this stuff. Healing is not easy, honey.
And and both of your girls got locks, right?
Just one of them. My other baby, she just got braids in her hair. They kind of look like locks, but they not locks.
But here's the thing, though. The whole thing with beauty, because I'm so glad you brought that up. Mothers are the first critics, like a daughter's first critic. And you saying that you weren't, really told that you were beautiful, but then a lot of times women will overcompensate trying to look a certain way. You got locks. So you embrace beauty in its most natural form.
Yeah, because that's the only thing that that's the only thing I can rock, honey. That look right on me.
But you see what we found out recently about what we all try to do, like as far as just for me.
Come on, yes.
Let's get
Girl,
into
I
it.
was hot when I seen that TikTok.
We just found out, y'all, recently, if you ain't been paying attention, that all of these girls on these perm boxes actually did not have relaxers. This whole time, they all had their hair pressed, or they had 2B hair this whole time. And we all got our hair straightened, our scalps burned, sores. We deserve compensation. And it didn't even give what it was supposed to give, because those girls that whole time, their mamas cared about their hair, but they let them get that coin too. So we got sold a lie, and our mothers pushed it on us. And some of us, I see women on Instagram now trying to make these babies' hair laid, slick, and weave to their hair, and they only 1-2 years. So I disagree with that. I'm gonna say it now. I disagree with it. These little girls are babies. There's nothing wrong with letting little girls wear their natural hair.
They want in the hair weaving her hair.
One. And people used to look at me sideways when my daughter was a baby, because we blew Ivy till she was 2. I wear her fro. And I got asked a couple of times, like, when you going to do something to her hair? And I was like, it's a fro, it's done. Because I knew, number one, she had the best chance of her hair growing healthy and strong. And it's a fro, and she's a baby. Absolutely. Why are you pulling and snatching on this little girl's edges, trying to get edge control? It's a baby. So to me, I feel like you're sending a message to your daughter early about beauty standards, societal standards, and what she needs to look like. Because a 1 or 2 year old, even 3-year-old, they don't know yet.
Nope.
But to me, they looks ain't good enough for you. And that's a problem for me. Sorry, I ain't trying to judge nobody, but I got a problem with that.
I'm not doing it either. I'm just, and neither one of my girls have had perms. Like my first daughter, I had went, and she wanted to experience, getting her hair, pressed out, and she wanted her hair to look like Frozen. And so this was a good experience for her. So I went and got it blow dried out and everything. She didn't think straight hair get nappy.
Oh, fucked around and found out.
Oh, she found out. I said, what? So she was in, like you said, looks at the thing. So you into this, you're like, you won't. I'm giving, I want you to have experiences now, because I want you to learn now. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let you want your hair bone straight. Found a lady, did her hair, got it bone. She wouldn't let me comb it. Would not. She went a week. Her hair started getting mad. And I said, okay. I said, I just spent $60 getting your hair. You know what I'm saying? Looking good, and okay. I said, it's either you get 2 things. You finna get locks, or you finna get it all the way cut off. We're gonna be at the barbershop. No.
Because this, again, I feel like once they hit a certain age, 5, 6, and they're like, I want to get this, that, and the third, and they're at a age to make up their own mind and stuff. Okay, let them experiment with some stuff.
Yep, let them experiment. Yep. And
but a 1 through 3-year-old is a baby. I'm gonna say it again. 1 through 3-year-old is a baby. Why? She don't need inches. You want her to have inches because you don't feel comfortable without inches. So now you're putting that on your daughter, and she's going to feel that unless she has inches or a 16-inch ponytail or some braids down to her butt, that she's not cute. If she chooses that, cool, but don't make that foundation for them to need extra before they even know. When I do take my hair out or whatever, y'all, first of all, for anybody goes, you wear a weave too. I went natural in 2005 before it was a thing. I went natural when we didn't even have natural hair products yet. I was using Blue Magic and was getting braid outs.
Come on, man.
Doing. So I did, and my stuff is 4C. I wore my natural hair when people were looking at me weird my senior year of college, like, what are you doing? So I went through all the phases. I love a protective style, but I've never not felt like I wasn't beautiful with my hair. I shaved it off a couple of years ago. I wanted to be like Dora Milaje after Black Panther came out. I cut my hair off, and I felt actually the most beautiful bald head. I didn't know they was on me like that. Didn't nobody tell me that bald life hit different. So I went through all of it. But when I take my hair down, I make it a point to play in my fro with my daughter take as many videos as possible with the two of us with our froze together so she can see it. I'm always affirming her hair. It's so beautiful. And she's done brand ambassadorships, but I noticed they only like it when her hair is free. I get like some ponytails or braids, it's all clean. They like her hair free. They're creating products and baby dolls to reflect.
I like free hair. I don't wear it, but I love to see it on other people because a lot of people don't recognize that type of beauty like they should. Like I
It has
see
to be altered. The
beauty.
edges have to be laid.
Yeah.
Does it though? Do the edges have to be laid? Why? That's alcohol. That's drying.
I was like, I love how free your hair look, you know?
Yeah, it's just so I think that's so there's so many different ways we can harm our kids without realizing it. Well, I don't guess I want to say, well, I can say harm. You setting them up to not accept themselves. So like not giving a child their voice, letting them have opinion. My daughter is strong-willed. If she don't want to do something, so I let her within reason express herself and not force things on her.
Absolutely. And I think that's important too.
Yeah. I'm building that confidence.
For kids, yes, for them to express themselves, like you said, within reason.
Within reason. Because I'm not gonna always be around. I lost my mom at 14 and my grandma a year later. So it was like me and my grandfather, which that's an older Black man raising a young 15-year-old girl. He didn't know what he was doing. So there's so many things I wished I'd have had like instilled in me. I was missing a mother. And when you say like being a grown woman and having certain triggers and anxiety, I see what a lot of mine is. Like when I go through stuff like that or question myself, there's a part of me that's like, I wish I had my mom or grandma around to tell me, girl, don't worry about it. It's okay. This ain't a big deal. You ain't got to do this. There's something missing that only a woman can answer for you.
That can really help you with that.
Yeah. So we just gotta that intentional doing parenting your way and setting them boundaries and not letting the world dictate how you create your little universe. That's a game changer. Because everybody got opinions, everybody got the answers. Ain't nobody happy.
And it's good because you could have understood the history behind a lot of stuff too. Like, baby, this is what you do, and you feel like you missed that guidance. The footprint. That most grandparents and parents leave for their children.
But you know what? I learned that chosen families are important. Also,
absolutely,
I have that.
Don't have that. Yeah, instead of wilding so much in the fact you wish it was there. I know it's hard to accept what is, but being able to.
You can pick the father you want. Well, I mean, if somebody gives you that guidance, because I actually have that and I've had it for some time, it's dope when somebody that is not blood connected steps in and they fill in a gap for you. Because it's somebody that chose it. It's not an obligation or somebody that potentially never wanted you to begin with. Not letting you have your voice, but it's somebody that's like, all right, you ain't my daughter, but you my daughter.
Absolutely.
Like that's real. So yeah. And I hope somebody gets something out of this. I hope y'all are like listening and not cave into the pressures, or even with this, like you talking about your father and stuff like that. I think that's so huge because there's some people that probably feel like they shouldn't have be allowed to have a voice because they had these things that everybody says you need to have for your life to be perfect, but it still don't make your life perfect.
No.
Oh,
I think everybody, rich, poor, everybody has a story. I think at the end of the day,
facts. But you ain't gotta hide all the time. You put your mask on because most people can kind of see through it. So you might as well address the issue and heal.
So we all come here to learn something. So you come here to learn something. You got something that you can probably pass on to help somebody else. Like, hey, I even though I had millions of dollars, I still had lessons to learn. Even though I had nothing, I still had some type of lesson. I think everybody want to escape learning, the lessons, but we come here for the lessons.
Facts.
Yeah.
And you pass them on.
Pass them on.
That's life, y'all. It's living, learning, passing on, and figuring out what does and doesn't work from you. Subtract and add as you need to, and be the best you can be for the people that you're responsible for.
And work with what you got, honey.
Work with what you got.
And help somebody else be like, look, I didn't have a mama growing up, but let me tell you, you can still make it. You know what I'm saying?
It brings
like,
out, yeah.
So you overcame, and that empowers other people. Like, you know what? She got through that. She didn't have a mama or grandma. She ain't have nobody. She making it. She's still able to thrive. She's still able to speak life into somebody else. That speaks volumes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And me, with my story, I can help women who have had daddy issues. We can have similar issues and how to heal from those.
Facts.
Yeah.
It's always a process. I think that's the thing, y'all, is just being vulnerable enough to let people know you ain't perfect.
Nobody
want that, no way. Don't nobody want that fake ass shit, no way. So cut it out. Now, I know that you preparing to bring in more melanin magic. You're gonna give birth.
Yes.
Do you want anybody finding you right now? Or y'all can go back to the last 2 episodes of last season.
I mean, I'm on Instagram and I'm on TikTok. It's just my name, Denetria Brijel. And also I got a blog. I don't have anything new on there, but it's also DenetriaBrijel.com. www.DenetriaBrijel.com.
Come on, pregnancy brain. Look, you
girl, it's on full mode. Girl, you could have seen me before this meeting. I was dozed, and I'm like, why am I so tired?
Because there's life growing in there, and that's what it is, queen.
I'm exhausted, girl.
We gonna let her go back to sleep though, but I hope y'all got something out of today. So again, y'all, thanking you for coming on today, sis. You know we be needing that real.
Yes, absolutely.
We are in whatever we in, y'all. We're applicable. Wear your mask, wash your hands, socially distance, and when you get a free moment, please, because it's important, remember to clean out your dirty bag. Till next time.
Well, darling, there's only one God.